Nowhere is that more clear than in Honduras, a city that has been ripped apart by the drug trade and deadly gang violence.
In the vast urban landscapes across our globe, certain enclaves stand out, not for their beauty or architectural marvels, but for the intense challenges faced by their inhabitants daily. These are places where danger lurks at every corner, where survival is the only goal. Here, we delve into some of the world's most perilous neighborhoods, starting with the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. Number 1. Rio de Janeiro's favelas, Brazil. High above the iconic beaches of Rio, nestled on the city's vertiginous slopes, lie the sprawling, densely packed neighborhoods known as the favelas. Their formation dates back to the late 19th century when ex-slaves with no land ownership and employment began building homes on unused terrains. Over time, these self-constructed zones became a melting pot of migrants, the impoverished, and those seeking affordable living away from the city's pricey core. The most immediate danger in the favelas arises from their territorial fragmentation. Different parts are controlled by varying drug factions, and this segmentation often leads to violent disputes. Turf wars between these factions, such as the Red Command, Comando Vermelho, and the Third Command, Terceiro Comando, are notoriously brutal. Innocent residents find themselves caught in the crossfire, with stray bullets becoming an all-too-common tragedy. Moreover, policing in the favelas is a topic of immense controversy. The Pacifying Police Units, UPP, introduced to regain control of these neighborhoods and quash the dominance of gangs, often use heavy-handed tactics. Their confrontational approach has led to accusations of extrajudicial killings, torture, and other human rights abuses. For the residents, this means they live sandwiched between the brutality of gangs on one side and the ruthlessness of the police on the other. Infrastructure and public services in the favelas are minimal at best. The labyrinthine alleys are not just challenging to navigate, but they also pose hazards with exposed electrical wiring, irregular water supply, and inadequate sewage systems. Landslides during heavy rains are a recurrent threat given the precarious way many of the houses are built on steep hills. Yet, amid the danger and the adversity, the favelas pulsate with life. They are home to a vibrant culture, a testament to the human spirit's resilience. Samba rhythms often fill the air, colorful murals adorn the walls, and community events bring moments of joy and unity. The favelas have also produced some of Brazil's best-known talents in sports, music, and art. Number 2. Cape Flats, Cape Town, South Africa. Cape Town, with its majestic Table Mountain and pristine beaches, draws visitors from around the globe. However, not far from this picturesque facade is an area that tells a different story: the Cape Flats. This expansive sandy stretch is a byproduct of South Africa's turbulent history, bearing the scars of apartheid's forced displacements. The inception of the Cape Flats is a somber one. In the mid-20th century, the apartheid government forcibly removed non-white citizens from the heart of Cape Town, resettling them in the Cape Flats. This deliberate marginalization disconnected these communities from economic opportunities and entrenched them in a web of socio-economic challenges. Today, the Cape Flats is often characterized by its gangsterism. Multiple gangs vie for supremacy, leading to regular violent confrontations. Areas like Mannenberg, Mitchell's Plain, and Hanover Park are epicenters of this ongoing warfare. With easy access to illegal firearms and the lucrative drug trade, young men are often lured into the gangster life, seeking both protection and a sense of belonging. For the average resident, navigating this hazardous environment is a daily ordeal. School children might find their route to school blocked by gang skirmishes, or parks could become no-go zones due to territorial claims. Additionally, the police, despite their efforts, are sometimes seen as part of the problem. Accusations of corruption, incompetence, and a lack of understanding of community dynamics hinder effective policing. On top of this, the Cape Flats grapples with socioeconomic woes. Unemployment rates soar high, leading to pervasive poverty. Basic amenities, from housing to sanitation, are often substandard. Overcrowded schools and a lack of recreational facilities mean that the youth have few outlets, making the allure of gangs even more potent. However, it would be an oversight to paint the Cape Flats solely in grim hues. These neighborhoods are also bastions of resilience and cultural vigor. The area is a melting pot of cultures and histories, from the descendants of the Khoisan people to those of Malaysian and Indonesian heritage, brought to South Africa as slaves and indentured laborers. This rich tapestry is reflected in the culinary delicacies, music, and traditions that are intrinsic to the Cape Flats identity. Community-driven initiatives have also sprouted throughout the region, aiming to combat its challenges. NGOs, grassroots organizations, and ordinary citizens have taken up the mantle to provide educational support, skills training, and community-building activities. They represent hope, a belief that the Cape Flats narrative can be reshaped. Number 3. Parts of West Side Chicago, USA. Chicago, affectionately referred to as the Windy City, is a metropolis of innovation, culture, and historical significance. Yet, as with many urban landscapes, there are stark contrasts in living conditions, safety, and opportunity. One of the most striking of these contrasts can be found when venturing into parts of Chicago's West Side, where challenges of violence, poverty, and systemic neglect converge. A key feature of Chicago's West Side is its historic battle with gang-related activities. Neighborhoods like Garfield Park and Austin have witnessed a cyclical pattern of violence, fueled by territorial disputes among gangs and the narcotics trade. The West Side, in particular, has seen a disconcerting number of shootings and homicides, earning some of its pockets the unfortunate moniker of deadliest neighborhoods in the city. The roots of this persistent violence can be traced back to several factors. Historically, parts of the West Side have suffered from disinvestment, with businesses and institutions either leaving or avoiding these neighborhoods altogether. This economic stagnation has resulted in high unemployment rates, leading many, especially the youth, to seek alternative, often illicit means of income and social belonging. Moreover, the area grapples with the repercussions of the so-called war on drugs. In the 1980s and 1990s, aggressive policing targeting drug-related offenses led to mass incarcerations. While this might have temporarily removed some key players from the streets, it destabilized families and communities. Many of those incarcerated returned to their neighborhoods with diminished employment prospects, further entrenching the cycle of poverty and crime. Education, which can often serve as an avenue out of such challenges, is, unfortunately, another problematic area. Schools in these parts suffer from underfunding, resulting in fewer resources, extracurricular activities, and support systems for students. This lack of opportunity further propels young individuals towards the gang lifestyle, viewing it as a more immediate means of gaining respect, power, and financial stability. Yet it's essential to understand that the West Side is not a monolithic entity of despair. The area is rife with resilience, community spirit, and a deep-rooted desire for change. Grassroots organizations, faith-based groups, and community leaders continuously strive to bring about transformation, whether through mentorship programs, neighborhood watch initiatives, or advocacy for better resources. Cultural vibrancy is evident in the music, art, and stories emerging from the West Side. The history of the Civil Rights Movement, the Great Migration, and the Jazz era are all intertwined with this part of Chicago, adding layers of depth to its narrative. Number 4. Scampia, Naples, Italy. Nestled in the southern part of the Italian peninsula, Naples is a city of contrasts. While tourists often flock to its historic centers, absorbing millennia of history and savoring the world-famous Neapolitan pizza, there's a less talked-about part of the city that commands attention: Scampia. This northern suburb of Naples has, for decades, been synonymous with crime, drug trafficking, and socioeconomic challenges, largely due to its association with the notorious Camorra crime syndicate. Scampia's most iconic and controversial structures were the Ville di Scampia, a series of sail-shaped high-rise buildings that once dotted its landscape. Designed in the 1960s and 70s as an ambitious urban housing project, these edifices quickly degenerated into hubs of criminal activity. Their labyrinthine architecture provided an ideal setting for drug dealers and Camorra members to operate with relative impunity, away from the prying eyes of law enforcement. The drug trade, particularly the sale of cocaine and heroin, became Scampia's defining feature by the late 20th century. The Camorra, using Scampia as a base, established an intricate network of drug distribution, with piazzas, or open-air markets, where transactions occurred in broad daylight. Turf wars between competing clans often turned deadly, leading to a period when Scampia was dubbed the murder capital of Europe. However, the challenges facing Scampia are not just a result of organized crime. The region has grappled with systemic neglect. Public amenities and services are scarce. Educational institutions and health facilities, often the pillars of community development, are underfunded and overwhelmed. Job opportunities are limited, compelling many young residents to view the drug trade as their most viable employment option. Yet, in this seemingly bleak landscape, there's an underlying current of resilience and hope. Over the years, activists, residents, and even former gang members have initiated community projects to reclaim Scampia from the clutches of the Camorra. Murals and art projects, celebrating the spirit of Scampia and its residents, have sprung up, adding splashes of color to its gray facades. A significant turning point came with the decision to demolish the infamous Vele di Scampia. These emblematic structures, once symbols of Scampia's decline, were brought down as a statement of intent, signaling the desire to break away from the past and embrace a new chapter. Local NGOs and community organizations have also become more active, focusing on youth engagement, education, and skill building. They aim to provide alternatives to the allure of gang life, showcasing paths rooted in creativity, entrepreneurship, and civic engagement. Number 5. Parts of Tepito, Mexico City, Mexico. Nestled in the bustling heart of Mexico City lies Tepito, a neighborhood steeped in history and resilience. Often termed El Barrio Bravo, or the Brave Neighborhood, Tepito's reputation as a gritty enclave is underscored by its intense street commerce and entanglements with organized crime. The sprawling informal market in Tepito offers everything from electronics to clothing. However, its labyrinthine streets also camouflage an underbelly of illicit trades, including counterfeit goods, pirated media, and stolen merchandise. The vibrant marketplace is both the neighborhood's lifeline and its Achilles heel. Tepito's challenges extend beyond commerce. The region is a significant hub for drug trafficking, often serving as a battleground for turf wars between competing gangs. The result is an unsettling rate of violent incidents, making parts of Tepito particularly treacherous for both inhabitants and outsiders. However, it would be a gross oversight to define Tepito solely by its adversities. The neighborhood pulses with cultural vigor, from boxing gyms that have produced world champions to fervent Santa Muerte worship, showcasing a blend of indigenous and modern beliefs. Number 6. Parts of Kingston, Jamaica. Kingston, the capital city of Jamaica, is a melting pot of culture, music, and history. Yet, beyond the reggae rhythms and the colonial architecture, lie areas where life's rhythm is discordant due to crime and poverty. Notably, parts of Kingston, such as Trenchtown and Denhamtown, have historically grappled with these challenges. The roots of the unrest lie in political tribalism from the 1970s, where gangs aligned with political factions clashed fiercely. Over time, as political fervor receded, these gangs shifted their focus to territorial control and drug trade, particularly the trafficking of ganja and later crack cocaine. Shootouts between rival gangs and confrontations with the police have rendered parts of Kingston volatile. Zinc fence communities, characterized by their corrugated iron barriers, often bear the brunt of this violence, with inhabitants trapped in the crossfire. Number 7. La Saline, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. In the heart of Port-au-Prince lies La Saline, a neighborhood that encapsulates Haiti's challenging dichotomies. La Saline is synonymous with vibrant street markets and infectious compa rhythms, but it also grapples with socio-economic struggles and violence that are remnants of Haiti's complex history. Historically, La Saline has been a melting pot for migrants from the countryside, lured by the promises of urban life. This influx has resulted in densely populated areas with makeshift homes and limited amenities. The resultant poverty, combined with political instability, has made La Saline a hotspot for gang violence. Turf wars between rival factions are unfortunately common, and periods of intense conflict often disrupt the daily lives of residents. Yet, La Saline is more than its challenges. It's a community of resilience, with a spirit that refuses to be dimmed. Local initiatives, often spearheaded by women, aim at empowering the community through education, art, and enterprise. Number 8. Parts of San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Located in the northwestern region of Honduras, San Pedro Sula wears the dual hat of being an industrial hub and, for a period, the murder capital of the world. This city, with its factories and businesses, is a significant economic driver for Honduras. Yet, parts of it are ensnared in a web of gang violence and criminal activity. Two major gangs, the Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, and Barrio 18, have a significant presence here. Their rivalry, coupled with disputes over drug trafficking routes and territorial control, has led to elevated levels of violence. Many neighborhoods live under the shadow of these gangs, with residents often forced to pay a war tax for protection. But beneath this tense surface, San Pedro Sula is also a city of aspirations. Community organizations, often backed by churches, work tirelessly to provide youth with alternatives to gang life. Sports, arts, and vocational training programs offer glimpses of a different future, showcasing San Pedro Sula's potential beyond its challenging present. Number 9. Site Soleil, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Site Soleil, often labeled as one of the Western Hemisphere's most impoverished slums, stretches across the shores of Port-au-Prince. With its maze-like alleys and makeshift tin-roofed homes, the neighborhood encapsulates Haiti's most pressing challenges. Extreme poverty in Cité Soleil is glaringly evident. Basic amenities such as clean water, sanitation, and reliable electricity are sparse. This stark deprivation, compounded by political instability, has made the area a breeding ground for gang activities. Territorial disputes and struggles for control have resulted in prolonged episodes of violence, affecting everyday life for its residents. However, Cité Soleil is more than just a byword for adversity. The community thrives on solidarity. Local organizations with international partnerships at times embark on projects aiming to improve living conditions, provide education, and create sustainable livelihoods. Amid the challenges, the spirit of the community remains undaunted, with residents determined to redefine their narrative against all odds. Number 10. Dandora, Nairobi, Kenya. East of Nairobi's central business district lies Dandora, a neighborhood intricately linked with the city's massive landfill. For years, the Dandora dump site has both sustained and endangered the community, offering livelihoods to waste pickers while posing severe environmental and health threats. Pollution from the landfill has severely tainted the local environment. Air, water, and soil quality have been compromised, leading to a myriad of health problems for residents, especially children. Additionally, the economic dependence on scavenging, coupled with limited opportunities, has given rise to crime, with gangs often targeting vulnerable community members. Yet amidst these hardships, Dandora pulsates with vibrancy and resilience. The region has been a cradle for Kenya's hip-hop and Sheng culture, with local artists using music and art to address societal issues, advocate for change, and inspire hope. Grassroots initiatives, focusing on environmental sustainability, education, and youth mentorship, are progressively steering Dandora towards a brighter and more sustainable future. Number 11. Parts of East St. Louis, USA. Across the Mississippi River from the iconic St. Louis Arch, East St. Louis in Illinois paints a very different picture from its neighboring city. Often characterized by its economic struggles, East St. Louis grapples with a legacy of industrial decline, leading to profound socio-economic challenges. Over the decades, the city witnessed the closure of factories, loss of jobs, and significant population decline. This economic vacuum ushered in elevated crime rates, making parts of East St. Louis particularly dangerous. The resultant poverty and lack of opportunities have fueled a vicious cycle of violence, drug-related issues, and generational disenfranchisement. However, to focus solely on these issues is to ignore the resilience and determination of its residents. The city has been home to notable figures in arts, sports, and academia, reflecting its rich cultural legacy. Community-led initiatives and local leaders continue to work tirelessly, aiming to revitalize the area, improve educational opportunities, and counteract the prevailing challenges. Number 12. Parts of Mosul, Iraq. Mosul, the ancient city standing along the Tigris River, carries the weight of its recent history with ISIS, which occupied the city from 2014 to 2017. During these years, this once thriving metropolis witnessed unparalleled destruction, with countless cultural treasures like the Great Mosque of Al-Nuri reduced to rubble. The physical scars of war are evident in the bombed-out buildings and bullet-riddled walls. The psychological trauma is even more profound, with residents haunted by memories of brutality, loss, and displacement. Infrastructure remains compromised, and rebuilding has been a monumental task given the scale of devastation. Yet, in the shadows of this harrowing past, Mosul's spirit remains unbroken. Since liberation, efforts have been underway to resurrect the city from its ashes. Residents, with the support of global partners, are not only reconstructing buildings, but also painstakingly restoring cultural landmarks, symbolizing the city's resilience and commitment to preserving its rich heritage. Mosul, with its storied past and indomitable spirit, remains a testament to human resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Number 13. Parts of Helmand Province, Afghanistan. In the arid landscapes of southern Afghanistan lies Helmand Province, a region that encapsulates the complexities and tragedies of modern Afghan history. Long known for its agriculture, Helmand has, in recent decades, been more infamously associated with opium poppy cultivation, providing a significant portion of the world's illicit opium supply. The nexus of opium trade and militant activity, particularly the Taliban's presence, has mired Helmand in consistent conflict. The province became a major battleground during the U.S.-led invasion, with both sides recognizing its strategic and economic importance. Consequently, many parts of Helmand witnessed intense fighting, leading to significant civilian casualties and displacements. Yet Helmand is not solely defined by conflict. Its residents, despite the adversities, have showcased remarkable resilience. Efforts, both local and international, have been made to introduce alternative livelihoods to opium cultivation, aiming to break the cycle of drug trade and violence. As the region grapples with the changing dynamics of Afghan politics and international involvement, the spirit of the Helmandi people remains its enduring beacon. Number 14. Parts of Karachi, Pakistan. Karachi, the sprawling metropolis along the Arabian Sea, serves as Pakistan's economic lifeline. As the country's most cosmopolitan city, it pulsates with energy, diversity, and potential. However, certain parts of Karachi have been challenged by sectarian strife, gang warfare, and political violence. Orangi Town, Liari, and certain parts of Sadar have historically witnessed gang-related violence, fueled by a combination of political affiliations, ethnic tensions, and territorial disputes. The city's rapid urbanization combined with uneven economic development has also led to socio-economic disparities, manifesting in periodic unrest. However, Karachi's story is multifaceted. The city houses some of Pakistan's top educational institutions, vibrant art scenes, and bustling bazaars. Community initiatives target areas of unrest, focusing on education, skill development, and peace building. The youth in particular have been at the forefront of many such efforts, using art, music, and technology as tools for change. Amidst its challenges, Karachi stands as a testament to the resilience and vibrancy of urban Pakistan. Number 15. Parts of Caracas, Venezuela. Caracas, set against the backdrop of the imposing Avila Mountain, is both the capital and the largest city of Venezuela. With its high-rise skyline and bustling avenues, Caracas presents a visual contrast to its surrounding natural beauty. However, beneath the surface of this urban sprawl lies a city grappling with significant socio-economic and political upheaval. Over the past few decades, Caracas has experienced a dramatic transformation. Once hailed as one of Latin America's most prosperous cities, it has been deeply affected by Venezuela's broader economic and political crisis. Hyperinflation, shortages of essential goods, and a collapsing healthcare system have left indelible marks on the city's fabric. Particularly in barrios like Petare, one of Latin America's most extensive slum areas, these challenges manifest daily. Streets that once pulsed with life now witness sporadic episodes of violence and unrest. Gangs, in the absence of effective law enforcement, have carved out territories, often leading to deadly skirmishes. Kidnappings, robberies, and other violent crimes have become distressingly frequent, making parts of Caracas among the most dangerous urban areas globally. The crisis in Caracas is more than just economic or criminal. It's deeply political. The city has been a focal point of anti-government protests, with its streets frequently filled with demonstrators clashing with security forces. The political divide, with its accompanying tensions and occasional outbursts of violence, has further strained an already beleaguered city. Yet for all its challenges, Caracas is not devoid of hope or spirit. The city's resilience can be witnessed in myriad ways. Community collectives in neighborhoods like Petare have come together to address local challenges, from setting up urban gardens to counter food shortages to organizing local security patrols. Cultural and artistic endeavors continue to thrive, with musicians, artists, and writers using their craft to comment on the city's reality, critique its politics, and envision a brighter future. Moreover, Caracas remains a hub of education and innovation. Universities like the Central University of Venezuela, UCV, continue their academic pursuits, and young entrepreneurs seek innovative solutions to the city's pressing problems.